Hello! So we left off and we had this little scene here. So now what we're going to focus on is specifically the areas in the actual image. So I haven't decided where I want my camera yet, so I will be starting to think about that a little bit more. And I do need to start thinking also about this wall. So I don't need to focus on all of it. If I cut it off there and take maybe this part here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press P and separate that bit onto its own. Because there's no point me taking the whole wall if all I actually need is a small part of it. So I do want to measure it, and it's about 3 meters tall. So if I put a piece in about here, that'll be about... Yep, so that'll be a good... That should be about the 2 meter mark, and I can obviously always check it against this bit, and yep, just over 2 meters. So that's about the height that I'd want a door. So if I add a piece in here, maybe I make this bit the door. So I'm just using Control B to bevel here, and this is the bit will make the door. So I'm just going to extrude it inwards, and I'll delete this face here. Perfect. And selecting on the large over the top one, I'm literally just going to lower this bottom two faces down a little, just so that they don't sort of clip through and get that weird effect that I had going there. Messed up, I'm just going to delete this face. So I could just say, boom, done, that's a door, but I'm not going to do that. I actually want to add in a door. So I'm going to add in a cube, which will go into the center, of course. Scale it down, nice and thin. Let's bring it up. Let's scale it on the y-axis. I want it to be just smaller than the thing, but literally just. So something like that, so it doesn't quite step over on either side. Perfect, and it doesn't matter how thick it is. And then again on the top, I'm just going to bring it just at the top, but not quite touching. And the bottom I will drag down to match it. Brilliant. So obviously this doesn't look particularly good. So I'm going to add a divide here. And select both these parts. I'm going to press I. Obviously that's connecting the two, so I'm going to press I again so they're not connected. Perfect. Then I'm going to press I again. Bring it right in, and I'm going to push these ones with X inwards a little. Not too much, just about there. Next up, I'm going to make a really rough door handle here. I'm going to just click here, add in a cube, scale it down a lot. And we're also going to scale it on the X so that it's only just sticking out, because this is just a small part of a door handle. Add a bevel. Sorry, a edge loop. Now I'm going to bevel it. Gives us a center square. And I don't need to do too much with this because I don't intend on this being close up. So there we go. And although it's very rough, when textured, that will be a little bit more clear. So I will also, knowing that this part here is also in the scene, I'm going to add another thing here. This time I'm going to make it a window. There we go. Brilliant. I'm going to quickly arrange my camera around this part. Go. So windows are nice and easy too. In order to cheat this one, I'm actually going to select this full edge loop. I'm going to duplicate it and separate it by selection. Next up, I'm going to press extrude. I'm going to bring it in with Alt S. And then I'm going to select this whole loop, bring it out just a tiny bit. Add one loop here, one loop here, one loop here, one loop here. Then I'm going to select all of them. Add a small bevel. Next up, I'm going to go here to here, and I'm going to link them up with bridge. And then I'm going to add a loop here, add a small bevel, and I'm going to start doing the same. Bridge this. Bridge, and the same here. Bridge. Now there should be a little gap around the outside, and that's what we want. Perfect. And I'm also going to delete some of these additional outdoor outside faces. And I'm going to close these. Perfect. Obviously this is now a full window that I could disconnect and put anywhere if I wanted to. Brilliant. So that works. Something needs to be done on here, clearly. Again, I'm going to add a big thing here. Bevel it. I'm going to use the other door to work out where the top of this door goes. And I'm going to use this part as a sort of a large double door, I think. So I'm going to click this, press my dot on my keyboard. And then I'm going to extrude it inward. Again, delete this bottom face, add this face. And in order for the ease, I'm going to do the same thing again here with duplicating this, separating it, done. And I'm also going to select this loop, delete the vertices, select this one, hit the F key. That would actually close it up, which is obviously not quite what I want, so I'm going to bring it out a tiny bit and extrude it inwards. Done. Next up, I'm going to add a loop down the center. I'm going to split it, and I'm going to move them slightly apart by tiniest amount. And that should just have them slightly separated, and that's good. Perfect. Cool. Next up, I am going to divide both of these in half, and I think this time all I'm going to do is to go onto the bottom one, and I'm going to move this one in a little. And then the top one, I'm going to open, delete the faces, delete the back faces too. And then if I select the whole thing, maybe if I extrude it inwards, and I'll turn that into like a window. Okay. So that creates that. I want to hang something off from up here, I think. So I'm going to go into here and go mesh, cylinder. Don't need to worry about where the joint point is. And if I just extrude that so that it goes into the world, bring that out a little. Go, now we've got that there. Again, in this view, nothing much has really changed because we haven't actually changed much yet. We're just sort of adding in a couple of things that we feel makes the scene a little bit more filled out. Let's bring in another cylinder. I'm going to drop the amount on the things there, and I'm going to scale this down. Let's put this on the corner. So like over here. Okay, so I'm going to make this as a sort of a lamp post style thing. Let's bring it up to like here. Again, the actual quality of the model is really, really not important here. Okay, add 2 of these. And dissolve those edges because I'm actually going to select where I want them. And I'm going to select, I think, just these 3, but not the end one. There we go. See, from a distance, that's really all you need. We aren't needing high poly models here because a lot of this stuff is going to be so far away that it's just no point wasting any sort of processing power on rendering a high poly scene. Just because none of this is going to be visible massively. We can obviously duplicate this one, put as many down as we need, and we can obviously also rotate it, so like that one, that. I'll put another one over here, although it won't particularly be visible. It will be, its effects will be visible even if it is not, even though that is actually currently visible. Let's put this one over here. I want it just and just off screen. There we go. Because you know what it is, because you can see the others. And now if I go into render mode, got a little bit more in the scene. That's nice, nice. And we can't see along this wall because of the hit, so I'm not going to bother putting anything in there. But I am going to decide 2 places that I want windows, which is going to be wherever these land. Brilliant. I hit the bevel. Perfect. Now the point of these 2, and that's all I'm going to do for those, but the point of those is that even though they aren't going to do anything, they're still going to provide light that's going to shine out of there, which will affect the scene, especially particularly down here. And everything like that is important. We want to have as much stuff in the scene that fills it out and makes it look real. And I should have some sort of separation for working out where the things are. Again, don't need to be perfect here. And even though that wouldn't work as a floor, it's not in view, so it doesn't matter. Let's go with those 2 there for that. So I'm going to count this as a floor. Let's open that up. And those 2 are in view, so we will turn these into windows. So I'm going to, again, extrude in, delete the faces. Now let's rob the window from here. So I'm going to duplicate it, move it up. As you can see, it doesn't quite fit, and that's fine. So I'm going to move it up, scale it up, move it sideways, scale it sideways, making sure that nothing clips through. And then once I'm done, I can just scale this one over to the side here, and we'll have both sides in. Obviously, we don't want any of the side bits clipping in or out, so there we go. We've now got that. And just to select it, so we wouldn't see the next window, so that's fine. And because it's so high up, the effects of the lighting would be minimal, so we're not going to need a light there. But one thing I can do is go into here, onto here, select these ones, and I'm going to go, first I'm going to hit new, and then I'm going to hit another one, and I'm going to call this one, actually, indoor light. Sign, hit new, and the second one I'm going to select as indoor light. New, and the second one will be indoor light, and I only want these parts to be indoor light. And you'll see how it will work in a minute. If I go in here and put the emission to a sort of a white, maybe a slight yellowish tint to it. Do the same with this one, new, and then make this one indoor light. Select the ones that I want to be the indoor light and assign it. And obviously I can increase the strength if I want to. And I should also do these ones over here. Both those two, I'm going to hit new, and then I'm going to press the plus. I didn't mean to hit new there, but it doesn't matter. Assign those to be the indoor light too, and they will affect shining some light out to here. So you can sort of see these glows here. So that will make a difference in the final scene, especially once we've got all our tarmac in and we've got the lighting from the world down, which I'm going to do now quick. Let's go and change this pitch black, or I could set the strength to 0. So now the only light provided to the scene is by this sun and from stuff that I put into the scene. So if I actually deleted this, you can actually see that we've actually got something that looks somewhat ominous. I could obviously put the strength emission up if I wanted to. Maybe a 3.5. So we've got this glow coming on now. Obviously we're also getting a lot of noise. I might turn on the viewpoint denoiser. We'll go for the optics. Yep, so we have our scene now that's actually rendering up. I also wanted on this door, those ones to also be the indoor light and the sign. So now we've got lots and lots of light. Just little bits providing small amounts. But we'll add more stuff in these lights here. We're going to cheat slightly with these lights, so I'm going to hit new. First of all, I'm going to make them metallic, and I'm going to make them slightly dirtier. I don't want them to be particularly rough, but a little bit rough. Now, I want to go and select full loops here, and this one. Now, with the second material for this, I don't want the indoor light. I'm going to call this lamp light. And I actually want it to be just on 1, so nothing too powerful. Almost to the point where it's barely doing anything. There is a reason for this. Because sorry, I didn't actually select it and highlight it properly. So back over to here, lamp light, select, did not. So select this, assign the lamp light to it. It should now be lit up slightly. There we go. But it's not particularly powerful. So what I want to do with this is I'm actually going to go light and a spotlight. And I'm going to bring it over and down. Place it just below it. Now it should actually have a spotlight that sort of shines down from it. Which I can increase the power of this as much as I like. I could even create like that, so it's actually very strong. And it looks like it'll be coming off the thing, and it'll be much more better. a lot more powerful, the more I do with that. So my plan will be eventually that I want to have some mist here. So that mist will help to ensure that we get some really good lighting shining down. You see, you got it off the wall there and everything. I like that. That's my thing. I feel like this indoor light is a bit strong, so let's put this down to say 2. That should change all of them. Yeah, it should. Can even possibly go to 1. There we go. So I don't want it to be too bright. But I can even put some stuff in to obstruct it and stuff like that. Some curtains to make it look like there's stuff going on behind it. Brilliant. So I'm going to start putting some very, very basic textures on, just so I can get an idea of what it looks like. So it's a bit orangey, somewhat rough. I'm going to go onto the ground here, and I'm going to select the floor pieces, which are these ones here. I'm going to make these a sort of a blackish colour, quite dark and fairly rough. And then I'm going to make the inverse of that, which lucky I can just press Ctrl I, to be a slightly lighter colour, slightly less rough. Oops. So I accidentally did this the wrong way around, but let's assign that. Ctrl I, new material, and this one I'm going to make it a lot darker, a lot rougher, and assign. There we go. So if I actually go into material mode, you can see sort of what we got here. And maybe this ground plane needs to be a little darker than this. And this material needs to be a little lighter. There we go. So we're not doing anything particularly intensive, though I can probably name this one lamp and move these over to lamp. Done. And then this should be darker. I'll name this wood. And with that being named wood, I can probably change these to wood too. Make sure I'm changing the right thing to wood. The door can probably be wood. And this window here can be wood. I think this can probably be wood as well. I don't need to change those. There we go. So it's got a slightly more homely look. That door stands out a little bit more now. We'll ignore this pole because obviously this pole doesn't exist. I do need to just to light up these bits. I need to go and add in the lamp bottom part. So lamp light, assign, and I need to do that with this one as well. Lamp light, assign. And that should make those look a little bit more realistic. There we go. So now it looks like they actually give out light. Cool. So we've got a little bit more of our scene going on. I feel like these should be wood too. And these ones should be wood. I know I'm using this wood thing a lot, and that's totally fine. I kind of expect to. But this is going to be a fairly dark scene. I don't need too much detail. I only need things to be lit up and working for the parts that are visible. Because this wall is quite bare, I'll probably put some graffiti on it. And because I'm going to do that, I want these pieces unwrapped properly. I might even separate them. And if I look at the UV texturing for these, for this piece, if I move it away, you see it's actually just on its own. UV editing, perfect. And that allows me at some point to add some graffiti on them. And I'm also going to make a really quick shader just for the building. And the building is going to have a very simple shader, which is a brick texture. Plug that into base color, and we're going to need it to be generated. And obviously that's not quite what we want. I should probably do an unwrap, but it doesn't actually matter apparently. And we kind of want it scaled that. I want it to rotate 90 degrees. Should be this one. There we go. There we go. Very simple brick texture. Make it a lot smaller than this. Perfect. We've got a brick texture. Now name this brick. And we'll add brick to this one as well. And ooh. Okay, so you're seeing that this obviously needs to be adjusted slightly because that doesn't fit at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 2 to separate this and then scale it. Just to match it up roughly to size, to the point where it's not so visible. There we go. And then this one, I'm going to add brick. See, again, this is going to need a size adjustment, so... And we might need to go zero out these again. Okay, so this one, 90. Cool, there we go, and scale it just so that it roughly kind of matches the other ones. Last one. Yeah, so quite a lot of the time it's a case of that. Remember to separate it, because otherwise you'll end up with some weird shapes. So it's not that one, not that one. Okay, so this one, 90. And luckily we don't need to do too much to that one. Might need to separate this part of the wall off. And then again, I think this one is 90 here. Yeah, again, sizing until it fits, and well, we do need 90 here. Zero that off, scale up. Just working out sort of how it wants the texture laid out. Oh, we don't want it negative to get it the way we want it. Okay, so we do want this one on 90, and then I think we're going to want this one on 82. There we go. Okay, so the wrong way around. So I want this to be on 0, I think. Yeah, there we go. Nope, that's still wrong. Those ways. I'm trying to work out which way we want this. Okay, and oh, cool. And scale it down. Oh, scale it down. And there we go. Don't need to worry about that one. And do I need to worry about this one? I do a little, but not massively. It just needs to be good enough for, again, hit the 2 button, zero that out, There we go. Because we don't care about this wall, we care about this wall. And again, because I've made a separate one, I'm going to actually make these bigger, because they're closer to the camera. So, a little bit dark at the moment. I can obviously bring the light up, or I could add in additional lighting. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should go into light, add a sun in, and make the sun a little bit weaker. Give it a slight blue tint. Not a strong blue tint though. There we go, and that makes it look like our nighttime scene. Just want enough for that light glow, but nothing too strong. Maybe maybe I should bring the sun over a little so it's a little easier to control. That looks good, but it's just a case of now just moving around, deciding how I want it for my scene, and where I want the shadows to be, and how strong I want this sun. I don't think I want it that strong. Also, obviously, it's acting not as a sun, but as a moon. So I want a slight glow, but I don't want it to overpower the actual lights. So, just to check which one. Yeah, so you can see that the sun is providing something. So this is very dark, and then the sun does bring in that little slight hint. And perhaps if I actually put the sun this way and bring the sun facing inwards, a slight angle, we don't want it completely straight on. Maybe that lights it up a bit better, because that gives us some shadows from this building, and it gives us a little bit of shadows coming off the door over here. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for that, and I think I'm going to call it at this point before we add in some additional details for the next one. And we're just going to keep building and building and building until we end up with a scene that we're really happy with. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.